You sit down to write the report. You open the blank document, and almost before the cursor blinks, you feel it. The pull. A flicker at the corner of your eye where a notification just landed. A half thought about lunch. The small, itchy urge to just quickly check something. One thing. That pull is the whole game. Deep work is simply the ability to resist it, to hold sustained, undistracted attention on one genuinely demanding task long enough for your brain to do its best thinking. The phrase was popularized by the computer scientist Cal Newport in his book of the same name. But the machinery underneath it is pure neuroscience. And once you understand the mechanism, the tools stop sounding like platitudes. So let me say this plainly at the start. This is not about grinding harder. It's not about shaming yourself for scrolling. It's about how attention actually works and why the modern world is engineered deliberately to fragment it. Real change isn't magic, it's mechanism. Let's look at the machinery. First, what deep work actually is. It's professional activity performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive abilities right to their limit. Its opposite is shallow work, the logistical, low-focus, busy work you can do while half distracted. Email, admin, the meeting you can't quite remember afterwards. And the distinction matters, because the two produce completely different value. Shallow work is easy to replicate and easy to interrupt. Deep work creates the things that are hard to copy. The clear argument, the elegant solution, the skill you simply could not build in fragments. Now here's the reframe. Most people believe quietly and rather sadly that they're just bad at focusing. What's usually true is something else entirely. They've never once given focus the conditions it needs. Attention isn't a fixed quantity you either have or you lack. It's a capacity that responds to how you train it and how you protect it. Think of it less like a talent and more like a muscle you've been asking to sprint without ever letting it warm up, which raises the obvious question. Why does focus fail so easily? Because your brain evolved to notice novelty, movement in the grass, a shape that wasn't there a second ago. That reflex kept your ancestors alive, and modern tools weaponize it every few seconds. Every ping is a tiny bid for exactly that ancient circuitry. There's a clinical cousin to this everyday struggle, and it's worth naming. That restless, can't settle feeling when you try to concentrate. It has the same flavor as low-grade anxiety, a nervous system primed to scan rather than to settle. Every time you interrupt yourself, you're nudging a mild fight-flight-freeze response into life, a background alertness that makes stillness itself feel unnatural. And then there's the dopamine loop. Each notification offers a small, unpredictable reward, and variable rewards, rewards you can't quite predict, are the single most habit-forming kind. It's the exact same schedule that makes a slot machine so sticky. Your phone is not neutral. It was designed by people who understand reinforcement far, far better than you'd like them to. So when you can't focus, you are not weak. You are a normal nervous system responding entirely predictably to an abnormal environment. That's not an excuse. It's a starting point, because once you stop blaming your willpower and start changing the conditions, the work gets easier. Now, the core mechanism. This is the part that reframes everything. The psychologist Sophie Leroy coined a term back in 2009 in a study published in Organizational Behavior and Human Decision Processes. She called it attention residue. Here's what she found. When you switch from task A to task B, part of your attention stays stuck, clinging to task A. You are physically in the new task, but cognitively, you're dragging the old one behind you. And that residue quietly degrades your performance on whatever you've moved to, often without you noticing a thing. When you switch tasks, your mind does not switch cleanly. A ghost of the last thing lingers, and it taxes the thing in front of you. Now add the ramp. Research from the University of California, Irvine, found that after an interruption, it can take over 23 minutes to fully return to the original task. Sit with that for a moment. 23 minutes. So the person who checks Slack just quickly every 15 minutes never actually reaches depth at all. They spend the entire day in the shallows of the ramp, climbing, resetting, and wondering why nothing hard ever gets done. Deep work protects the ramp. It says, quite simply, give the climb enough uninterrupted runway that your brain can reach the summit, and then stay there long enough to make the climb worth it. So how do you actually build this? Deliberately. Here's the sequence that holds up. Schedule it. Don't hope for it. Depth left to chance loses to urgency every single time. So, block a specific window and treat it like an appointment you'd be embarrassed to miss. Remove the friction before you start. Close the tabs. Silence the phone. Better still, put it in another room entirely. The principle is that the easiest path always wins. So, your job is to make distraction the harder path. Start small and stack it. Begin with sessions of 25 to 45 minutes. If you already have a stable morning routine, anchor your deep work to a cue you never skip. Coffee poured, door closed, timer started. Ride the ramp. Don't fight it. The first 10 minutes will feel restless. That restlessness is the ramp. It is not failure. Let it pass without reaching for relief, and define done before you begin. Vague goals invite wandering. Draft the introduction beats work on the article every time. One more layer. Match the difficulty of the task to your own arousal. The Yerkes-Dodson law tells us that performance peaks at a moderate level of stress. Too little, and you drift off. Too much, and you freeze up completely. So if a task feels overwhelming, shrink it. Shrink it until it feels merely challenging. And when the restlessness spikes into genuine agitation, reset your physiology before you try to force the cognition. A single physiological sigh will do it. A double inhale through the nose, then one long, slow exhale through the mouth. It measurably lowers arousal in seconds. Calm the body, and the mind follows. It always does. Now, deep work and shallow work aren't good and evil. You need both. The problem is when shallow work colonizes the hours that should have belonged to depth. So here's the practical rule. Front-load your day with one protected block of depth before the shallow tide comes in. For most people, that's the first 2 hours. Before the inbox turns your attention into a switchboard. Before I let you go, the mistakes, because most deep work attempts fail for predictable, fixable reasons, not for a lack of discipline. Treating focus as willpower. Willpower is a finite, fatigable resource. Environment design isn't. So lean on structure, not grit, keeping the phone nearby just in case. Here's the uncomfortable bit. A 2017 study in the Journal of the Association for Consumer Research found that even a silent phone face down on your desk lowers your available cognitive capacity. The researchers called it brain drain. Its mere presence taxes you. Starting too big, a 3-hour first attempt fails, and then it confirms the very belief you were trying to escape. I can't focus. Don't do that to yourself. Lower the cost of beginning, ignoring the ramp, quitting at the first flare of restlessness means you never once taste depth. Stay 10 more minutes. Just 10. And the last one, believing you're broken. Here's the reframe that dissolves the self-blame. A fragmented attention span is a trained state, and trained states can be retrained. Notice something about that whole list. Not one of those fixes requires you to become a different person. They require you to change the conditions and then let the mechanism do the work. So the next time you sit down and feel that pull, that itch to just quickly check, you'll know what it is. It's not a character flaw, it's a nervous system doing exactly what it was shaped to do. And the beautiful thing about that, what was shaped can be reshaped. If this landed for you, follow the show, or come and join us over at the Rebuild newsletter. The link's in the show notes. This episode was narrated by an AI clone of my own voice, trained on this show.